When people interact with these horses, they become very empowered, because here's this giant animal that not only chooses to be with you when you get in a good state, but wants to be with you.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Missions That Made Them. I am your host, Jason Verdelli. This isn't just a podcast, but rather it's a movement. It's a movement designed to make the world a better place by bringing more awareness to the great work of the people and organizations making a difference, and more importantly, how you can help. We live in a world today surrounded by a narrative in the media that focuses in on negativity and draws attention to the problems, but not the solutions. Our guests represent the solutions, not the problems. And with that, I am super excited today to have on our guest, Julie Puentes with HorseLink. And what this organization is doing by connecting people, it's more than just connecting people to horses, right? It's really, she's going to cover all the things that this organization does. But, given I am a brother of my sister's actually a big time into horses, and some of the things I was on their website, which, check out the horselink.org. Be sure to check that out as you can, maybe check that out as you're listening to this. But if you think about everything that if you're around horses, you're around these huge animals that are so much either, fun, calming, whatever you want to call them. We do change a bit, right? And which is, I think, very important. And she's going to cover some of the things and where that is extremely important, especially with with the pandemic, getting over the pandemic. There's some stats actually they have on their website, which I found pretty interesting in terms of where they fit in. So without further ado, Julie, welcome to The Missions That Made Them. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Excellent. So before we get into it, Julie, tell everybody about what is HorseLink?
Yeah, it's an organization that has a dual mission, if you will. What we do is we take competition horses, any horse that has had a job of any sort, mainly in competitions, different disciplines. That could be anything from English riding to Western riding. But they have to retire from their careers because they're either too old to perform anymore, or they're injured, much like professional athletes have to retire after a certain point. They can't do the job physically. And it's actually a problem in the horse industry. You have these horses that are relatively healthy otherwise, besides their physical limitations, and they can live a long time after their retirement. And how do you keep them? How do you keep them healthy and happy and find places for them? It's actually been a problem in the horse industry for quite a long time. So we have a place where they come and they permanently retire with us, a very lovely place. They get to live like horses in herds on grass and get to actually be horses for sometimes the first time in their lives. But then we have a little something extra with that. We give them continued purpose. These horses are used to having jobs, are used to having purpose. They've been handled by people and had high human interaction their whole life. And so we do equine assisted learning and therapy programs for people who can really benefit. I mean, I think everybody can benefit, I'll be clear, but sure. We offer programs for people who are dealing with trauma, addiction and recovery, anxiety, depression, and the like.
So how do these programs work, Julie, with people that have anxiety, depression, that have gone through trauma? And I thought it was a really interesting stat on your website there. It says 70% of U.S. adults have experienced some sort of trauma. And the other one was 40% of U.S. adults reported struggling with mental health or substance abuse, coping with the stress of the pandemic. And, and also interesting fact too, 10% of the U.S. horse population is in Texas, which is where you're located. So, a lot of problems there. I mean, definitely there's, you're definitely a big part of the solution and everything we talk about here, but how does this all work? How do you help people that have trauma, anxiety, depression overcome that?
Well, the good news is that the horses do it for us. I mean, that's the beauty of the work, right? Yes, we are the facilitators we have on staff. We've got trained therapists. I'm trained in facilitating myself. We have skills and we know how to to watch the horses and pay attention to what the horses are telling us. I tell people the horses are our co-facilitators in these programs with people. There is something about being around a horse that puts people in the present moment. Just because of their size alone, people are going to end up, they can't help it. They just are so present in being with the horse. So that right off the bat starts to help people regulate their nervous system. So without having to do much at all, the horses are already working on the people when they're arriving at the farm, and they're just seeing them and being near them. So that's number one. But then, horses are hardwired to connect with people. They live in herds. They're hardwired to connect with their other herd mates, but also with people. That's what they like to do. That's how they find safety. And so when people interact with these horses, they become very empowered, because here is this giant animal that not only chooses to be with you when you get in a good state, but wants to be with you and will follow you and connect with you. And it really creates this sense of safety, awe, wonder, worthiness, I think, is a big one that we hear a lot. I've heard that after a program. I loved it. We ask sometimes people to they pick up a rock from the farm, and we say, write the word that comes to mind when you talk about what you gained from the program. And one of the guys recently wrote worthy, and I just thought that was perfect. So, we don't ride these horses when in these programs. It's all done on the ground. So even people who are afraid of horses can get a remarkable experience, because we're not asking them to get on the horse and deal with all that fear, but we do deal with fear too. I mean, people can be scared of horses. They can get a lot out of it just by being close to them. Don't even have to touch them. But the horses act as mirrors, and they let us know how we're impacting them. And so people get to experience right then and there how they can shift and change, and then see an immediate shift in the horse towards them. So yeah, it's extremely powerful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize too the power of these animals. I mean, I've been around them, have ridden them for sure. But and I would imagine too is that with some people getting into the horse, I call them horse people, but people like my sister who are big into this, and who have been in the horse world forever. But is that what kind of attracts them? Maybe subliminally to some degree. It's some sort of outlet that it seems to be for people that have issues, coming, and they're not always around horses and that. But is that a big benefit for people that are that are constantly around them, again, people that like to enjoy to ride, things like that?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I've been an avid horseback rider since I was 5. And I think certainly my experience with horses and the challenges in my life that I felt like they helped me overcome has contributed to me starting the organization. Anyone who's around horses, I think any horseback rider, if they reflect, can tell you, the boost in confidence, the emotional intelligence and awareness they've gained, the appreciation of nature and partnership and trust and connection. I mean, anyone who's been around horses has experienced that. Now, we didn't talk about it all that much when I was growing up. I will say that wasn't part of the conversation when you're competitively competing, and but it's there. So I do think it's interesting, because I think sometimes horse people can be the most skeptical of the work when they first hear about it. Mm-hmm. It's possible, but people come from all different places and backgrounds.
Yeah, that's cool. How do people find out about, or I guess, how do you reach out? I guess, somebody that may be struggling with, somebody's watching this, it's struggling with trauma, anxiety, depression. How do they get involved? What's the way to partake in that?
Yeah. So, at HorseLink, what we do offer programs that are open to any individuals who feel the need to come and take a program with us. We call it Horsepower. We also partner with several therapists and then other organizations in our area that will contract with us to provide services for their clients. So it's kind of a mix of that. But, anyone can reach out. And even if we can't provide the service they're looking for, we often have resources of other places. But, there are so many equine assisted therapy and learning programs popping up all over the country. If you do a Google search for those, you will find them. But really we have, straight on our website, you can sign up for our programs and we list them on our calendar.
That's awesome too. You even have the list of the horses too. I think you have it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Names of the horses. That's awesome.
Yeah. They each have their little bio and a picture. Sometimes of when they were competing and sometimes when they're at the farm. It just depends, but yeah.
Yeah. What does sponsoring? So I see you have the opportunity to sponsor a horse, like sponsor Kicks. I'm on sponsor Kicks right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that do?
Kicks is our newest resident, by the way, and he is the ripe old age of 27. So.
Oh wow.
Nice. Yeah. So sponsoring the horses helps us provide the care they need. If you equate our facility to an assisted living or senior citizen center for horses, that's exactly what we are. So horses are expensive to take care of.
Oh yeah.
Just when they're young and healthy, but as they get older, they've got even more needs. So their teeth start getting bad. They get arthritic. They can have conditions like Cushing's disease, which we've had some horses on the farm that have it. So that requires expensive medication. So what we do is we allow people to get on there and pick the horse that they are drawn to and thinks needs a little extra love, and they can just sponsor them monthly. I mean, even for as low as $25 a month, $25 a month, that's a bag of feed, so every little bit helps. Yeah.
That's, unfortunately, these animals are not raised on or don't survive just on love alone. Even though we wish we definitely, we all know that, they need to feed, you need to feed them and everything else. And they're bigger animals too. So they need a lot more, in that case. So, that's awesome. That's awesome. So so where do you see, let me ask you the question here, Julie, too, like what, so you were in competition, everything like that, throughout, but, what made that bridge from competitively riding, all that, to starting an organization to help people dealing with, mental health issues, things like that, to help them overcome that? Like, what was that aha moment for you?
Well, as most things, it was not a straight line. And I will say I do still compete. I do still have a horse I ride and still compete when I have the time, which isn't very often, but sometimes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, many things. So one of the horses that was the inspiration behind starting HorseLink was a horse named Big Head Todd. And he was my horse. I raised him from the time he was a little baby. And he had to retire really early at the age of 14. And I had seen growing up the need for horses that had to retire, a place for them. It was really hard to find. It's expensive and it's hard to find a good place to put them. And so I had to retire him at 14, and I thought this was great. I had studied also leadership in graduate school, and I read a book that talked about the healing power of horses, and I kind of just made the connection of what was possible with these horses and why they'd be so great at it. I mean, horses who have been competition horses are used to being around people. They're used to new environments. They're safe. They're used to being handled. So it just seemed like a good match. It was born out of the need of my own personal need that my horse needed a place to retire. But then I saw it across the board as an issue in our industry.
Julie, can I, sorry, my internet cut for some reason. Yeah, sorry. I figured since we edit these things, it would probably just be a cleaner clip if I had to start over from, what was the aha moment and then go. I can just have our video guy do that. I don't know why I got a new computer, but I'm on this older Mac. So I think it has something to do with that, but either way, I will, if you don't mind, we'll I'll do 3, 2, 1, and then
Aha
we'll just
moment.
go aha moment.
Okay.
And then, well, actually,
Okay.
assume that was said.
Okay.
So we'll just do whatever.
Yeah, sounds good. No problem.
Sorry. Yeah. All right, cool. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So yeah, I can't say there was one aha moment. What happened is that my horse that I'd raised from a baby, his name was Big Head Todd. He had to retire at age 14 from a ligament injury, and that's pretty young for a horse. And so I was desperate to find a reasonable solution of where to retire him. I was certainly going to, provide for him his whole life. And I had seen this problem over and over and over again in growing up riding horses that were healthy but physically couldn't do the job. And where do you put them? And so I wanted to come up with an affordable option for people to responsibly take care of the horses that have so graciously taken care of us. And I had read a book in graduate school that was about the healing power of horses. And I put together that these horses would be remarkable for just that. And I went and studied equine assisted learning. I got certified in it. And when we had a fire that was very close to our property back in 2011, it all kind of came together. Todd had to retire. Our place was spared from a fire that was huge. It was 30,000 acres, and they actually stopped it on our farm. I just felt like giving back.
Wow.
So that's how I got there.
Yeah. Well, and that is just for me, that's always the coolest thing, right? You see this opportunity, you see this problem, especially what do you do after the horses are, when they're retired from competition, things like that. But then you see an opportunity in the world to be a part of that solution, right? To take this world that and be able to translate that into what's really helping people. And again, if you go to the website, the HorseLink.org, you can check out, if you go to they have upcoming programs, they have all these different ways to get involved on there. You have some really cool pictures too of how the horses are helping. You can see them, kind of assisting people and everything. So definitely very heartwarming in that sense as well. But Julie, I want to really commend you for taking that next step. I mean, this is everything we talk about in the podcast, which is how to be a part of the solution and not the problem, right? So many organizations and even podcasters, they focus in on the problems, right? So, but what can we do to focus in on the solutions? And I think taking that bridge is riding over that bridge, should I say, in your case, is hopping on the horse and riding over that bridge into making the connection to the larger world to help other people is awesome. So Julie, where do you see the organization going? What's the future for HorseLink?
We've been talking about that a lot lately. It's a great question. I think what I found is I knew there was the need to place these horses. I've been a little bit overwhelmed at how great a need there is. We consistently have a waiting list of 12 to 15 horses that are waiting to come to live with us. It's hard because we only have so much land, and we do want to, have them, like I said, out grazing in pastures and have them have enough room to move around, and we don't want them in little pens and stalls. Spaces don't open up that often. So one of the things we're talking about is how do we expand? And that means looking for a different property that's larger. And we're looking at all kinds of opportunities for ways we could do that so we could house more horses. But in addition to that is partnering with more and more organizations so we can help more people. So we've been getting, especially since the pandemic started, so many requests for teens in adolescent programs. We have traditionally focused on adults. So that's one way we're expanding. So we're going to be doing not only adults now, but also teens and adolescents, and then trying to expand, how many horses we can take in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That is well, and really, where do you? I mean, expansion makes sense, right? You have horses. These are you have to have more land. You have to have more of everything, right? Because there's just they're just bigger animals, and you have a growing program too. The programs are growing. What as somebody listening and watching this, that's also checking out the HorseLink.com, the HorseLink.org, and saying, how do I get involved? How do I support this expansion and that type of thing? What are some of the best ways that would help you to make that vision become a reality and expanding the services beyond where they're at?
I mean, it always with nonprofits comes down to funding. It's what it comes down to every time. We have launched a program, a capacity building program this year called Herd Love, #Herd Love. And it's focusing on 3 different pillars.
That's awesome.
People, partners, and programs. So those are the places where we're trying to expand. So we're really trying to build our capacity. Many people don't realize, they see our website, they hear about the programs we do. We're a really small organization right now. I, am serving as executive director, and we have a part-time communications and development person, and we've got our equine manager of the farm, and that's it. The rest is volunteers. So people that can lend a hand, that know how to care for horses, that's always needed. But also just helping us build that capacity with our funding, because we have to have the staff to do that, and we have to be able to make improvements to any land that we end up being able to expand to. So it's going to be a big year of building that capacity.
Yeah. And what a better time to get this word out and have other people support that. If you believe, especially if you believe in everything that the programs, the output of your programs, right? The outcomes of the programs, which is, we do know that there's a huge problem with anxiety, depression, and all that type of thing around in the U.S. or in the world really right now, coming out of a pandemic. Right. There was I knew there was definitely an issue with that going into the pandemic, but, coming out of it, for sure, that changed a lot for a lot of people. And some people may not even realize it, but they're still maybe suffering from that. It's undiagnosed. I mean, how many people are just running around with undiagnosed depression, anxiety, generalized anxiety and those types of things and not really even aware of some of the ways to overcome that. So that's really important to get involved. So if you believe in overcoming that, if you've suffered depression, if you suffered anxiety, you suffered trauma, and you again believe in the power of connecting with animals in general, but also especially with horses, as you mentioned, because there's something about horses that are, because of the size, the stature, something about just the majestic nature of the animal, I guess, is there's a bunch of other science that goes behind this, but the power of that versus relying on some sort of drug or going right to just prescribing pills and things like that, which it seems like we live in a society where that's very quick. We're very quick to do that, right? Here's some pill. Oh, I have anxiety. Yeah. Here's some pills for that. I have depression. Here's some pills for that. Versus, hey, why don't you consider what the stimuli you have around you? Why don't you consider changing your environment or getting into a new environment, which, your organization is doing. You're providing that solution. So what a better way to convert your dollars that you have to an organization like this that's making that possible, right? So that's definitely
I love what
huge.
You said just there, because I think, people do want a quick fix to whatever is ailing them, right? I mean, we have gotten conditioned to that in our society. And it's interesting, however, that, the work with the horses can be that quick. I mean, the transformation that can happen, the realizations, the ahas, the insights that people can get in a very short amount of time, I think is one of the things that's most remarkable about it.
Yeah, like you said, even just showing up, you don't have to ride the animal, you don't have to go through all that, and the fact that you have staff, or you're pulling together the staff to organize these programs. I mean, that's a thing in itself. I mean, it's hard to organize stuff, at least, to get everything moving and getting the right people, the right place, getting, making sure also that you're keeping horses alive, which is a job in itself. If you've ever been around somebody that runs a horse farm, I mean, it is pretty much almost seems like a 24/7 job for
it is.
for the most part, right? It's a lifestyle. Yeah. Like it's not something that it's not like a dog or a cat where it's like, okay, we got them, but let them out twice a day or whatever it is, maybe, twice, 3, 4 times a day, take them for a little walk, whatever. With horses, you got, the stalls, you got make sure you have you have feed, you have to have maintaining the land that they're on and everything else. But, all of that is definitely worth it if it helps to think about if somebody has depression, that they go through your programs. I mean, this could save a life. I mean, think about how many people are potentially suicidal that maybe even come through there. We're not even aware of that come through there and realize, wow, okay, like this, they might not even talk about it. It might be subliminal, but it might be something where they're like, wow, I went through the program. I felt so much better. And it stopped maybe some of those thoughts that they had about whatever, bad thing they might have been considering doing. So, I mean, what the line of work, what you're doing and what the horses really are doing, I guess they're really the champions, I guess here, truly, but, but the team effort between both, the horse and the staff, is really saving lives. That's really what you're doing. You're inspiring others. You're making their lives better. You're enriching their lives, but you're also potentially saving lives here in the process, because we all know the detrimental effects of extended periods of anxiety and depression, and what that can lead to. So, Julia, it's your work is super, super impactful on making the world a better place.
I appreciate it. That's definitely our goal. That's definitely our goal, and we're really proud of what we've done so far.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. So again, Julie, any other last words before we hop off here? Just I
would encourage people to check out our website if they're interested and want to know more. They can reach out. There's a way to contact us. We're happy to answer any questions and tell you about our organizations and tell you about ways we can get involved. We are really trying to get the word out about what we do, and I appreciate the time to tell everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Julie, stories like yours, organizations like yours are everything that we talk about here. They're a part of the solution that is making this world a better place. And I think the more people that can know about this, hear about this, the more that will become even more of a reality, right? This is the deeper impact of making the world a better place. So one of the best ways that you can do that as the listener, somebody who's watching this, is to hit share on wherever you're listening or watching this at. Be sure to hit the share button so you can share this out onto your social networks. Be sure to, you can tag all your horse people that you can tag all your friends, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in some way, shape, or form, have had some sort, form of stress, depression, trauma, or know somebody that has gone through that or is going through that. So, I think hitting share is the first part, right? It doesn't cost anything, doesn't take very much time to do. So be sure to hit share on this. The second thing is to get involved. Go to the HorseLink.org and get involved, right? Check them out. They got a donate button up there. If you want to what a better way to have your dollars? What a better way to feel great about being able to contribute. If you can't contribute your time and or your talents, then consider contributing your money, right? So that's very, very important to do. And then finally, be sure to subscribe to the Missions That Made Them. We're constantly interviewing other nonprofits and other people and organizations that are making a difference to make the world a better place. But we got to bring more awareness to that. So that all starts by sharing this, and we certainly appreciate that. So,
Jason,
Julie,
you've been awesome too. Awesome. I really appreciate you spreading the word about good work that's being done out in the world. That's a really nice, positive thing to do. We all benefit from that.
Well, it's very easy to do when you have organizations like yours that are doing great work, right? So it just makes my job a lot easier just to bring more awareness to that work, right? So I think we work together on that. That will make that possible, impact the rest of the world in that way. So, anyway, with that said, everybody, thanks for watching, and be sure to go to theHorseLink.org.
Sounds
and
good.
We'll catch
Thank
you next
you.
time.